The galaxy was a vast and mysterious place, filled with powerful empires and strange new worlds. Each civilization believed it was the strongest, the most advanced. But in the far corner of this universe, there was one planet that had yet to reveal its true potential: Earth. The humans living there were just another species among countless others, their technology considered primitive by galactic standards. But no one had truly understood the nature of humankind, and they were about to find out in a way no one expected. The Vorker, a powerful alien race known for their brutal tactics and advanced technology, had been watching Earth for years. They had seen the humans' quiet development, their rapid growth in science and technology, and they decided that Earth would be the perfect target for invasion. With their vast fleets, the Vorker were confident they could easily conquer this small planet and subdue its inhabitants. They believed that humanity's lack of spacefaring experience made them easy prey. Captain Lena Miles, a seasoned officer in the Earth Defense Force, had heard the rumors. Strange sightings, signals from the stars that didn't make sense, and whispers of a new alien threat that had set its sights on Earth. At first, the governments of Earth dismissed the idea. After all, who would ever think that humans, with all their flaws and imperfections, could be a target for such a powerful race? But Captain Miles wasn't one to take chances. She had fought on the front lines of Earth's earlier wars and had seen how quickly things could change. She knew that a threat was coming, even if others wouldn't admit it yet. And she wasn't about to let Earth fall into the hands of anyone, especially not the Vorker. As the Vorker fleet entered Earth's solar system, they moved with the confidence of conquerors. They saw no reason to hide their approach. The humans were no match for them, and they knew it. Their ships were enormous, their weapons capable of obliterating entire cities in a single blow. They were ready for an easy victory. Meanwhile, on Earth, life went on as usual. People went to work, families gathered for dinner, and the streets were filled with the sound of normal, everyday life. But in the heart of Earth's military command center, things were far from ordinary. Miles stood in a darkened room, watching the images on the screens before her. She could see the Vorker ships in the distance, their sleek, deadly forms approaching the planet. It was only a matter of time before they would strike. "We've got to be ready," Captain Miles muttered to herself, her eyes narrowing as she analyzed the fleet's movements. She turned to her officers. "Get the soldiers in position. It's time to show them what humans are made of." The room buzzed with activity as officers rushed to carry out her orders. Miles had always trusted her instincts, and her instincts told her that Earth's survival depended on staying one step ahead of the enemy. They might have the technology, but humanity had something far more important: heart. The will to fight, to survive, and to never give up. The first sign of trouble came when the Vorker launched a series of orbital strikes, targeting Earth's largest cities. Their weapons hit like thunder, devastating buildings and sending shockwaves through the population. The world gasped in horror. People fled, trying to escape the sudden chaos. But it was clear, Earth was under attack. But humanity wasn't going to give up that easily. Captain Miles gave the order for Earth's defenses to be activated. Massive shields sprang into action, blocking some of the Vorker's attacks, but not all. The city of New York was among the hardest hit, and the skyline was reduced to rubble in a matter of minutes. The damage was severe, but the people of Earth did not break. They fought back with everything they had. In the chaos, military forces scrambled to retaliate. Fighter jets scrambled from hidden bases, launching missiles at the incoming Vorker ships. While the Vorker were far superior in firepower, the humans fought back with determination. They weren't ready to give up their planet without a fight, not after everything they had worked for. Meanwhile, Captain Miles coordinated with the world's leaders. Earth's forces may have been smaller than the Vorkers, but they had something that the aliens couldn't anticipate. They had the will to survive, and Captain Miles was determined to ensure that every human would be ready to fight for their home. "Captain," one of her officers said, his voice filled with urgency, "they're coming in fast. We don't have much time." Miles turned to face the officer, her expression unwavering. "We don't need time," she replied. "We just need to fight." Lena Miles was chosen to lead this new effort. As one of Earth's most respected military leaders, her reputation had grown since the Vorker conflict. She had led the charge against the aliens, and now she was tasked with something even more important: forging alliances with the galaxy's many races. Her first step was to reach out to the Rillians, a peaceful race of highly intelligent beings who had been watching Earth's progress with interest. The Rillians had advanced technology and knowledge of the stars that could help humanity navigate the complex political landscape of the galaxy. They were known for their neutrality, but if Earth could gain their trust, they could be a powerful ally. Lena and her team traveled to a distant planet where the Rillian Council resided. The journey was long, but the stakes were high. The message from the mysterious source had made it clear: Earth's strength had been recognized. But they were not alone in this galaxy. To survive, they needed the support of those who had been watching from the sidelines. When they arrived on the Rillian homeworld, Lena was struck by the beauty of the planet. The Rillians were known for their stunning cities, built among the tallest trees in the galaxy. Their society was peaceful, focused on knowledge and exploration. They had no interest in war, but they valued wisdom and the pursuit of truth. Lena hoped that this wisdom could help Earth navigate the dangers that lay ahead. She met with the Rillian leaders, who welcomed her and her team with open arms. The conversation was tense at first. The Rillians were cautious. They had witnessed countless civilizations rise and fall, and they had seen the consequences of alliances gone wrong. Earth had proven itself capable of defending its home, but could it be trusted on a galactic scale? "We have seen what you are capable of," said Rillian Counselor Vale, the leader of the Rillians. "Your strength has not gone unnoticed. But strength alone is not enough to survive in this galaxy. It is wisdom and diplomacy that will truly protect your people." Lena listened carefully. She had always believed that humanity's strength lay in their will to fight and protect what they loved. But now she realized that to succeed in the galaxy, Earth would need more than just weapons. It would need allies, wisdom, and a new way of thinking. "We are willing to offer our knowledge and our guidance," Vale continued. "But in return, we ask for one thing: your commitment to peace and stability in the galaxy. You must prove that your strength will not be used to dominate, but to protect." Lena nodded. She understood the weight of his words. The galaxy was filled with power-hungry forces, and Earth could not afford to become one of them. It was a difficult balance, but she knew it was the only way forward. "We will commit to that," Lena said firmly. "Earth will protect peace, and we will use our strength to defend those who cannot defend themselves. We understand the responsibility that comes with this." Vale studied her for a long moment before nodding in agreement. "Then we will stand with you. Together, we can ensure that this galaxy remains a place where all can thrive, not just the strongest." With that, the first alliance was formed. Earth and the Rillians, two vastly different civilizations, united in a common cause. It was a momentous occasion. For the first time, humanity had found a place among the stars, not as conquerors, but as protectors. The news of the alliance spread quickly throughout the galaxy. It was a message to other civilizations. Earth was no longer a helpless planet in the vastness of space. Earth was a force to be reckoned with, but also a force that valued peace and cooperation. But the formation of this alliance was only the beginning. Lena knew that there were many more races out there who would need to be convinced that Earth could be trusted. The galaxy was vast, and there were many challenges ahead. But Earth had taken its first step toward becoming part of a larger, more connected universe. And with each new ally, humanity's place in the galaxy would become stronger. As Lena looked out at the stars, she felt a sense of hope. The road ahead would not be easy, but for the first time in history, Earth was no longer just a small planet struggling to survive. Earth had allies, and together, they would face whatever challenges the galaxy threw at them. Lord Corrin finally spoke. "You are bold, human," he said, "but I will not be fooled by words alone. Your planet may have strength, but strength without wisdom is wasted. You may prove yourselves worthy of our respect, but you must prove it to us, not with threats, but with action. Lena's team knew the Tarian were testing them, pushing them to show that Earth could truly hold its own in the galaxy. This was no simple negotiation. The future of Earth depended on how well they handled this moment. Ambassador Rowan nodded. Then let us prove our worth. We will stand by our word and show you that humanity can be a force for peace and a force to be reckoned with. The Tarian leader said nothing, but his eyes glinted with something that could almost be called curiosity. The encounter was far from over, but it was a beginning. Earth had made its first move in what was sure to be a long and complicated struggle to establish its place among the stars. Lena knew the Tarian were only the beginning. The road ahead would be difficult, but Earth had already proven one thing. Humanity would fight for their future, and they would not back down. The galaxy was watching, and humanity was ready to show that they were more than just survivors. They were warriors who would shape their own destiny. The days after the meeting with the Tarian were tense. Lena Miles and her team returned to Earth, knowing that the galaxy was watching their every move. Humanity had taken a bold step into the unknown, and while their words had been met with some skepticism, the Tarian had not dismissed them outright. That alone was a victory. Back on Earth, Lena gathered the top leaders of the planet to discuss the next course of action. The Tarian had made it clear that they weren't going to be easily impressed, but that didn't mean Earth should back down. Instead, it was time to prove that humanity wasn't just a small, weak planet, but a force that could stand tall among the stars. We can't afford to wait for them to come to us, Lena said in the meeting. The Tarian want action, not words. We'll have to show them that we're not only capable of defending ourselves, but that we're ready to join the galaxy as equals. One of the advisors, General Marcus, spoke up. We've been building up our defenses, but we still need to strengthen our alliances. The Rillians were a good start, but we can't stop there. The galaxy is vast, and if we're to have a chance, we'll need to continue proving our value. Lena nodded. The task ahead was daunting, but she knew humanity had something that could turn the tide. Their resilience. Earth had been through countless trials, from the Vorker invasion to the harsh conditions of space exploration. But every challenge had made humanity stronger, and they were only just beginning to unlock their true potential. The next few months were filled with intense preparations. Earth's military forces, led by General Marcus, worked tirelessly to develop new technologies and enhance their battle strategies. Earth's scientists, engineers, and diplomats teamed up to explore new ways to strengthen their relationships with other civilizations. They knew the Tarian weren't the only ones they would need to convince. There were countless races in the galaxy, and each had its own challenges, strengths, and beliefs. Humanity would have to navigate this complex web if they were to survive and thrive. One day, Lena received a message from the Tarian Empire. It was a summons to a second meeting, this time on a neutral planet, far from both Earth and Tarian territory. This was a rare gesture, and it suggested that the Tarian were at least considering humanity's potential. Lena's heart raced with anticipation as she prepared for the journey. This was the moment that could change everything for Earth. She selected a small team of diplomats and military experts to accompany her, each chosen for their expertise in navigating difficult negotiations. As they landed on the neutral planet, the starkness of the location reminded them of the stakes. The planet was barren, a desert world with harsh winds and endless stretches of sand. There were no signs of civilization, no towering cities or bustling markets. It was a place of solitude and silence, where only the strongest could survive. The Tarian leaders were already waiting when Lena's team arrived. Lord Corrin stood tall, flanked by his most trusted advisors. His expression was unreadable, but there was a slight glint in his eyes. It was the same look he had given Lena during their first meeting, one that said he was testing her, waiting for her next move. "We meet again, human," Lord Corrin said, his voice deep and commanding. "You have shown that you are capable of surviving, but survival is not enough. The galaxy does not respect the weak. It respects those who can shake the future." The universe had seen Earth's strength. Now, it was time to show them humanity's heart. With the alliance formed between Earth and the Rillians, the galaxy began to view humanity in a new light. The small, once overlooked planet had earned its place among the stars. Still, Lena Miles knew that the work was far from over. The message Earth had received, the one warning them of other dangers lurking in the galaxy, wasn't to be taken lightly. The galaxy was a vast and unpredictable place, and Earth had only just begun to find its way. As the Rillian representatives left Earth, Lena stood by the spaceport, looking up at the stars. The feeling of accomplishment was there, but there was also a gnawing sense of uncertainty. The universe was full of powerful civilizations, and Earth's newfound status could attract attention, both good and bad. Days passed, and Earth slowly began to recover from the Vorker invasion. People rebuilt their cities, their lives, and their communities, but they also looked to the future. They knew that they had to be ready for whatever might come next. The Vorker may have been defeated, but the message they had received, "We are watching," reminded them that other forces were out there, waiting. Lena continued to oversee Earth's military readiness, ensuring that humanity was prepared for any new threats. But she knew that Earth's strength lay not just in its weapons, but in its alliances. The Rillians had made it clear that wisdom and diplomacy were just as important as firepower. If humanity was to have a place in the galaxy, they needed to learn to work with others, not just fight alone. As Lena worked tirelessly with Earth's leaders to form more alliances, one race stood out in particular, the Tarian. They were a warlike species, known for their advanced weaponry and ruthless tactics. Their empire stretched across dozens of star systems, and they had a reputation for conquering weaker civilizations. They were not the kind of people who valued peace or diplomacy, at least not at first glance. Lena's team had received reports that the Tarian had taken an interest in Earth, and this concerned her greatly. She couldn't help but wonder if their interest was driven by curiosity or something more dangerous. The Tarian were not known for their friendly relations with other species. If Earth was to survive in the galaxy, they would need to find a way to deal with this looming threat. "We need to know what they want," Lena said during a meeting with her senior advisors. "The Tarian are powerful, and if they want Earth, they will take it. We can't afford to let them dictate our future." A strategy was quickly put into motion. Lena knew that to deal with the Tarian, Earth would need to gather more information about their intentions. It wasn't enough to simply send a military force. It would have to be done through diplomacy, intelligence, and careful planning. The first step was to send an envoy to the Tarian Empire. It was a risky move. There was no telling how the Tarian would react. But Lena had no choice. If Earth was to face this challenge, they would have to do it head-on. She handpicked a team of skilled diplomats and intelligence officers to make contact with the Tarian leaders, hoping that the Tarian might respect Earth's courage and strength. Days later, the envoy arrived at the Tarian capital, a sprawling city built on a harsh desert world. The Tarian government was a complex and rigid hierarchy, with powerful military leaders at the top. Their planet was a testament to their strength. Massive fortresses dotted the landscape, and their cities were filled with warriors and strategists. The Tarian government welcomed Earth's envoy with cold professionalism. There were no warm greetings or gestures of friendship, only the sharp gaze of those who had seen countless civilizations rise and fall. The Tarian were not interested in small talk. They wanted results. The head of the envoy, Ambassador Rowan, stood before the Tarian leaders, his posture firm but respectful. He understood the stakes. "We come in peace," he said, his voice steady. "We seek only to understand your intentions and build a relationship based on mutual respect." The Tarian leader, Lord Corrin, regarded him with an unreadable expression. "You are weak," Lord Corrin said bluntly. "Your planet was almost destroyed by the Vorker. What makes you think you have the strength to stand among us?" Ambassador Rowan's heart raced, but he did not flinch. "We survive because we fight for each other. We fight for our world, and we are stronger because of it. Earth is not weak. We have proven that we can defend ourselves, and we seek peace with those who value strength and honor." For a long moment, there was silence. Lena's team, watching from a distance, held their breath. The Tarian were a formidable force, and this meeting could determine the fate of Earth's future. And then, in the midst of the chaos, something extraordinary happened. A human engineer, working alongside the military, discovered a weakness in the Vorker's energy shields. It was a small breakthrough, but it was enough to tip the balance. Earth's forces now had a way to bypass the Vorker's most advanced defense system. The news spread quickly. Earth's forces began to take advantage of this new technology. Human pilots used the knowledge to target the weak points in the Vorker ships, chipping away at their massive fleet. Slowly but surely, the Vorker's once imposing presence began to wane. Captain Miles watched the victory unfold on the screens in front of her. It wasn't a complete triumph yet, but it was a start. "We're not out of the woods," she said to her team. "But this is just the beginning." The Vorker had thought they were dealing with a simple, defenseless species. Now they were learning that humans had something far more powerful than advanced weapons or technology. They had the power to resist, to adapt, and to never back down. And the Vorker were about to learn that underestimating humanity was their greatest mistake. As the battle raged on, humanity's resolve only grew stronger. Earth wasn't going to surrender without a fight. Not now, not ever. The Vorker may have had the numbers and the weapons, but they didn't have the one thing that made humans truly dangerous: the ability to keep fighting no matter what. The war between Earth and the Vorker had raged for weeks, and despite the destruction, humanity was showing signs of life. What had started as a desperate fight for survival was beginning to turn into something more: a chance for victory. The Vorker, with all their advanced technology and strength, were beginning to falter. They had underestimated the resolve of humankind, and now they were paying the price. Captain Lena Miles stood in the control room of Earth's Central Command, staring at the holographic map of the battlefield. The map had once been filled with markers representing the Vorker's massive fleet, but now those markers were fewer. Earth's defenses, which had been scrambling just days ago, were now finding their rhythm. The Vorker's ships were damaged, their forces scattered, and for the first time in weeks, the Vorker didn't seem as invincible as they once had. The humans, armed with the new technology they had developed, had begun to hit back with precision. The Vorker, while technologically superior, were not prepared for the ingenuity of humanity. They had learned the hard way that humans could improvise and innovate in ways they hadn't expected. A series of small victories across Earth had shaken the Vorker's confidence. From a surprise raid on one of their supply ships to a successful attack on their command vessel, humans were showing that they could be a serious threat. The aliens, who had once seen Earth as an easy target, were now rethinking their strategy. And it was about to get even worse for them. Miles had called for a meeting with her top commanders to discuss their next steps. The humans had managed to breach a major weakness in the Vorker's defenses, and now it was time to strike while the iron was hot. "We have an opportunity," Captain Miles began, addressing her team. "The Vorker's fleet is in disarray. We've hit them where it hurts, and they're scrambling to recover. Now is the time to push forward." Her officers listened closely. They knew that if they didn't act quickly, the Vorker might regroup and come back even stronger. But the human spirit was on their side, and they had proven that they could take on these invaders. "Captain," one officer said, "our fighters are ready. We've got new tactics in place to exploit the weaknesses in their ships." "Good," Miles replied. "We'll hit them hard and fast. No mercy. This is our chance to drive them off once and for all." The plan was set into motion. Earth's remaining fleet of fighters and bombers was dispatched to take advantage of the Vorker's disarray. But this time, they would be using new weapons, energy blasts designed specifically to penetrate the Vorker's weakened shields. It was a calculated risk, But the humans had no choice. It was time to take the fight to the enemy. The Vorker, meanwhile, were beginning to feel the pressure. Their once pristine fleet had been battered by human forces. They had not expected the resistance to be so strong. Their commanders, who had been confident of an easy conquest, were now panicking. They called for reinforcements, but Earth's forces were already closing in on them. Every moment they wasted, the humans grew stronger. And so the first battle for Earth began. The Vorker, expecting an easy conquest, were met with something they had never encountered before. A resistance that would not bend, not break, and would never give up. Earth's defenses were crude compared to the Vorker's technology, but it was enough to show the invaders that humans were not a species to be underestimated. As the Vorker fleet continued their assault, one thing became clear: this wasn't going to be as easy as they had thought. The storm had just begun, and the humans were ready for it. The Vorker fleet loomed over Earth like a dark cloud, casting its shadow across the planet. At first, the aliens had expected an easy victory. They had seen Earth's cities, with their primitive technology, and assumed they could wipe out humanity with little effort. They hadn't counted on one thing: the humans' ability to fight back. Captain Lena Miles watched from her command center as the Vorker ships hovered above Earth. The skies were filled with explosions, flashes of light as their attacks rained down on cities below. The planet's defenses were being overwhelmed, but Captain Miles had not given up hope. She knew that humanity was capable of much more than what the invaders thought. The Vorker had begun their assault with orbital bombardments, targeting Earth's major cities and military installations. But as the smoke cleared and the dust settled, the Vorker began to realize something: they hadn't broken humanity's spirit. The people of Earth had come together, united in a way they had never been before. Across the world, cities had turned into war zones, but humanity did not flinch. People in every corner of Earth, from the crowded streets of Tokyo to the peaceful villages of Africa, were doing whatever they could to fight back. Farmers armed with homemade weapons, engineers working to develop makeshift technologies, and soldiers prepared to give their all in defense of their homes. The Vorker's superiority in technology was clear. Their ships were massive, their weapons devastating. Yet, something about the humans' determination made them a force to be reckoned with. They were not an easy species to defeat. As the Vorker commanders watched Earth's defense lines, they started to grow frustrated. Despite their overwhelming firepower, they couldn't break the human will. Back in Earth's command center, Captain Miles stood tall. Her officers worked tirelessly, coordinating the global defense. Miles had always believed in the strength of humanity, but even she was surprised by the way the people of Earth had come together. There was no fear, no panic, just an unyielding desire to protect their planet. "Captain, the Vorker are pulling back for now," one of her officers said, pointing at the screen. "It seems like they're regrouping for another wave." Captain Miles didn't relax. "Don't underestimate them," she said. "But we've learned something. The Vorker are used to fighting races that break under pressure. They haven't seen what humans are capable of when we're pushed to the edge." While the Vorker prepared for another assault, the humans were busy making their own preparations. In underground bunkers, engineers worked around the clock, improving Earth's defenses. They had no choice but to innovate. Earth's technology wasn't as advanced as the Vorkers, but humanity had one thing that the aliens didn't: creativity. Across the planet, scientists and technicians began to work together, pooling their knowledge to create new weapons and defenses. Humans had always been resourceful. They used what they had, twisted it, and made it their own. Weapons were repurposed, spacecraft modified for combat, and new technologies were born out of sheer necessity. Captain Miles knew that Earth's survival depended on their ability to adapt. "We need to think like them," she told her officers. "The Vorker are not invincible. They're just like any other enemy. We can learn their weaknesses." The human resistance began to turn the tide. Earth's forces, once scattered and outgunned, began to find cracks in the Vorker's strategy. The aliens had underestimated Earth's ability to surprise them, and surprise they did. In a daring move, human fighters launched a surprise attack on one of the Vorker's supply ships. It wasn't a major victory, but it was enough to show the invaders that humanity wasn't going to roll over. The Vorker commanders were baffled. How could these humans, who had no real fleet, manage to damage one of their ships? How were they able to adapt so quickly? As the weeks passed, the Vorker grew more cautious. They had never encountered an enemy like the humans. It wasn't just the technology or the weapons that made them dangerous. It was the human spirit. The refusal to give up. The drive to keep fighting even when the odds were against them. Captain Miles stood at the front of the control room, watching the battle unfold. Earth's fleet was moving with precision, taking out one Vorker ship after another. It wasn't enough to end the war, but it was a sign that Earth wasn't going to be an easy conquest. The humans were fighting back, and they were doing it in a way the Vorker hadn't anticipated. "This is it," Miles said quietly to herself. "We're turning the tide." But even as victory seemed within reach, Miles knew that the war was far from over. The Vorker were still a powerful enemy, and they would not give up easily. But Earth had shown them something they hadn't counted on: humanity's will to survive and fight for their home. The next few days were crucial. The humans pushed forward with everything they had, catching the Vorker off guard with every attack. As Earth's forces moved in, the Vorker found themselves cornered. They had underestimated the humans' ability to adapt, and now they were facing the consequences. On the front lines, Earth's soldiers fought with determination. Every soldier knew what they were fighting for: their families, their homes, their planet. No alien force, no matter how powerful, could take that away from them. Even as the Vorker ships continued to rain fire from above, the humans held their ground. Back at the command center, Captain Miles monitored the progress of the battle. Earth's forces were gaining ground with each passing hour, and the Vorker ships were becoming increasingly disorganized. The tide had truly turned. "We're almost there," Miles said, her voice filled with a mix of determination and exhaustion. "Just one more push, and we can drive them off our world." And so, the battle continued. With each strike, with each victory, the humans grew bolder. They were no longer the underdogs. They were a force to be reckoned with. The Vorker, realizing they could not defeat this fierce and unyielding species, began to retreat. One by one, their ships began to flee Earth's atmosphere, their once proud fleet now shattered. The humans had done it. They had stood their ground and fought back. Captain Miles watched as the last of the Vorker ships retreated into space. The battle was over, and Earth had won. But the victory was bittersweet. The cost had been high, and the scars of war would remain. Yet, as the last Vorker ship disappeared into the stars, one thing was clear: Earth had proven to the galaxy that humans would never be easy prey. They had shown the universe the true strength of humanity. The humans had won, not because they were the strongest, but because they had something far more powerful: the will to fight, to protect, and to never give up. And that, the Vorker would learn too late, was something no alien force could ever defeat. The Vorker had retreated, but Earth's victory was not without its price. The war had devastated entire cities, torn families apart, and left many grieving the loss of loved ones. Still, despite the destruction, something remarkable had happened. Earth had united in a way it never had before. The fight for survival had brought people together from every corner of the planet. And now, with the Vorker gone, there was a glimmer of hope. Captain Lena Miles walked through the bustling halls of Earth's Central Command. The battle was over, but the work had just begun. The world had changed, and so had humanity. They had faced an enemy more powerful than anything they had ever encountered, and they had won. But the scars of the war would remain. Rebuilding would take time, but Captain Miles was confident that humanity had the strength to do it. As she entered her office, she found her team gathered around a large table, their faces tired but hopeful. They had just received word that the Vorker's retreat wasn't just a withdrawal, it was a full-scale retreat from the solar system. The Vorker, it seemed, had realized that Earth was not an easy target, and they had no intention of coming back anytime soon. "We did it," one of her officers said with a tired smile. "We drove them off our planet." Lena nodded, but her expression remained serious. "Yes, but this is only the beginning. The galaxy has seen what we're capable of. We can't let our guard down. There will be others who will want to test us, now that they know how strong we are." A silence filled the room as everyone understood the weight of her words. While Earth had won this battle, the war in the stars was far from over. There were still countless other civilizations out there, and not all of them would be as merciful as the Vorker. "We need to make sure we're prepared for whatever comes next," Lena continued. "It's time to start rebuilding, not just our cities, but our defenses. We need to show the galaxy that we're ready for anything." Her team nodded in agreement. They had been through a lot, but they were determined to ensure that humanity's future was secure. They had fought for Earth once, and they would fight again if needed. Outside the command center, Earth was slowly beginning to heal. The damage caused by the war was visible in the wreckage of cities and the ruins of what had once been thriving communities. But even as the world mourned its losses, there was a sense of hope. Humans were resilient. They always had been. In cities around the globe, people worked side by side to rebuild. Governments had set aside differences, and countries that had once been divided now worked together to restore what had been lost. Engineers, scientists, and builders from all walks of life poured their knowledge and skills into repairing Earth's infrastructure. It wasn't going to be easy, but humanity was used to overcoming challenges. But there was something else, something bigger, at play. Earth's military forces, having tasted victory, began to evolve. They had learned valuable lessons from the Vorker War. Humanity had seen how vital cooperation and innovation were to their survival. Earth's defenses were now stronger, more advanced, and more united than ever. And then came the first signal, a message from space. It was faint at first, barely a whisper in the vastness of the universe. But Captain Miles and her team had been monitoring the stars ever since the Vorker's departure. The message was from an unknown source, and it seemed to be directed specifically at Earth. "We've received a transmission," one of the officers said, interrupting Lena's thoughts. "It's encrypted, but it's definitely directed at us." Lena's heart skipped a beat. A new threat, or something else. Her team had expected that after the Vorker left, there might be more aliens who would want to test Earth's strength. But this was different. This was a direct message, not from the Vorker, but from someone, or something, else entirely. "We need to decode it," Lena ordered. "Now." The room buzzed with activity as the team worked quickly to break the encryption. It took minutes, but in the end, the message was clear. "We know you've defeated the Vorker. Your strength is unmatched. But be warned, there are others who seek to claim your world. We are watching." The message was chilling, but it also carried a sense of respect. Whoever had sent it acknowledged Earth's strength. And though the warning was ominous, it was also a sign that Earth's victory had garnered attention in the galaxy. Lena sat back, processing the message. It was clear now. Earth had made an impact. They were no longer just a small, unnoticed planet in the vast galaxy. The universe had seen what humanity could do when pushed to the edge. They had fought back, and now they had become a force to be reckoned with. "We will be ready," Lena said, her voice steady. "We've proven ourselves. Now we'll prove that we can stand tall and protect our world." The team nodded in agreement. The fight for Earth was far from over. But for the first time in history, humanity had shown that they could hold their own against the galaxy's most powerful forces, and whoever was watching, whoever might come next, would soon learn that Earth would not be an easy target. The war with the Vorker was just the beginning. The galaxy was about to discover that humanity was not just a planet of survivors, but a planet of warriors. Earth had won a significant victory over the Vorker. But the message they had received from the mysterious source had changed everything. The galaxy was paying attention, and Earth was no longer a quiet, isolated planet. The universe now knew humanity was capable of much more than just survival. Captain Lena Miles stood at the front of the command center, looking out at the vast map of the galaxy projected before her. The message they had received was clear. They were being watched, and there were others out there who might pose a threat to Earth's newfound strength. "We need to prepare for what's next," Lena said, her voice firm. "The Vorker might be gone, but the galaxy is full of other forces. We can't afford to be caught off guard again." The team in the command center nodded in agreement. They had learned from the Vorker invasion. The galaxy was filled with powerful civilizations, and humanity couldn't afford to face them alone. If they were going to survive and thrive in this new galaxy, they needed allies. Over the next few days, Earth's leaders began to take action. They had won the war against the Vorker, but now they needed to build a new strategy, one that involved diplomacy and alliances with other alien races. The message from the mysterious source had been a warning, but it had also opened a door. It was time for Earth to make its presence known in the galaxy, and to do so, they needed the support of other civilizations. Lena stepped forward, her gaze steady. "We're not here to survive. We're here to thrive. Humanity has shown that we can overcome any challenge. We've faced disasters, enemies, and the harshest conditions imaginable. But we always come out stronger. Earth will not be content as a backwater world. We're ready to be part of the galaxy, and we'll prove it." Lord Corran regarded her for a moment, then motioned for one of his aides to bring forward a holographic display. The image of a massive fleet appeared in midair, more ships than Lena could count. "This is the Tarian fleet," Lord Corran said. "It is the most powerful in the galaxy, and it will be yours to command, should you prove that your people are worthy." Lena's heart skipped a beat. The Tarian were offering them an alliance, not just an alliance, but the power of their fleet. This was not something they had ever expected. It was an opportunity beyond anything they had dreamed of. "Prove that you are worthy of this power," Lord Corran continued. "Lead us in a challenge. Show us that Earth has the strength to command this fleet." Lena's mind raced. She knew this was a test of her leadership, of Earth's resolve. This was their moment to demonstrate their true potential. With a steady breath, she nodded. "We'll take on your challenge, and we'll show you that humanity is not only capable of standing with the strongest, it is the strongest." The Tarian's eyes flickered with something that could only be described as respect. For the first time, Lena saw a hint of admiration in their gaze. This was no longer just a negotiation. It was a turning point in history. The challenge was set, and Earth would fight not only for survival, but for a place among the stars. As Lena returned to Earth with the news of the Tarian offer, the people of Earth united in a way they never had before. The galaxy was vast, and the challenges ahead were uncertain. But humanity had shown that they were ready. The dawn of a new era was coming. And Earth, once a small and insignificant planet, was ready to make its mark on the galaxy. The universe would soon learn what it meant to face the strength and resilience of humanity. And this was only the beginning.